This is the Our Voice 360 podcast, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. This podcast was created with you in mind. On Our Voice 360, we'll give you inspiration, sports, business and leadership tips, Black history, and entertainment. This is a show built from our perspectives. So if you're ready to be entertained, inspired, laugh a little, be informed, and enlightened, tune in now to Our Voice 360. Let's go! Hey, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our ways. Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, all that good stuff. And it's kind of sad, but 2021 has come in with a bang in so many ways. But before I continue, I've got with me, I'm one third of the trio. I got with me my man Pete Hunt.
What's good, family?
And my man Mike Brown, the Don Dada.
Blessings.
And with that, Pete, let's go ahead and get into it.
And as always, our podcast is brought to you by Elect Graphics and Photography. Allow your visions to become reality. And CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
And ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to give us some feedback on how we're doing or get some more insight or become a sponsor to the podcast, please send us an email at ourvoice360@gmail.com. That is ourvoice360@gmail.com. And with that, we're just going to get right into it. I'm sure for you that have not been under a rock, you've seen the madness that has happened in the past 24 hours in our country. It's very shameful. It's very embarrassing, frustrating. I could go on with adjectives, but I think you get the gist. We as Black men on this station, on this podcast, are really trying to give insight from our perspective. Hence our tagline, our perspective, our ways. And so we encourage people of all ethnicities and races to listen to the podcast to gain the insight. It is not a bash session. It is a session where we as Black men talk about the things that go on in the United States that are frustrating to us, shameful, embarrassing a lot of times, double standard. Really, at the end of the day, we are all wanting equality and to be treated equally.
Yep.
Point blank, period. And that's the fight that we have been fighting since we've been here as a people. And it's sad that hundreds of years later, we're still fighting that fight, the same fight that our ancestors fought. And for me personally, it's sad. But I think the events that occurred on January 6th at the Capitol building were basically a sign of what's been the underbelly of America for years. And it looks like it finally came to a tipping point. And it's embarrassing because the world is watching us. We're supposed to be the leaders of this planet. We are the lab rats of democracy here in America. We're supposed to show other countries what democracy looks like, where we can get together and strongly, debate our views and opinions and discuss policies. Even though we may not fully agree with one another, we can still come together and get things done. Obviously, that was not shown yesterday. And we really look, as the United States, really bad. And we have egg all over our faces because, who are we to say that we will lead the rest of the world, the free world, or the world period, the right way when we have basically I don't know if civil war is the right word, but kind of looks that way. I mean, we really, really look bad, and I will yield the floor like I'm at the Senate. I will yield the floor to my fellow brethren here, Pete Hunt, Michael Brown. Y'all jump right in.
That was a good choice of words.
Fellas, y'all want to say something?
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna speak from a veteran's point of view. Yesterday was not a good day for America to me. And I just find it amazing that when a certain group of people do something, it's gangs, it's terrorism. But when another group does that plus more, it's simply freedom of speech.
They're passionate.
Hey, Mike, hold on. Let me pause you real quick. Now, I know you said that you were a veteran. Will you please tell the audience, what branch of government and what when you signed up to the military?
Yes, I was in the U.S. Navy, and when we took the oath, it was to protect this country from enemies, foreign and domestic, in which I still do to this day. And what happened yesterday was terrorism in its finest in domestic form. If you have no idea what terrorism looks like and anarchy looks like, watch the news. Go back and look at what happened yesterday. And I think it's just hurtful, man. It's hurtful. Pete?
For me, it is what white supremacy looks like. It's what white supremacy looks like. That yesterday's show with those people bum rushing the Capitol is what white supremacy looks like, because the definition of white supremacy is white people feeling that they are supreme to everybody else. So in that moment, they felt that they were supreme, and they're big and bold and bad enough to run up in the Capitol. And guess what?
They did.
It happened. They did. And what was really curious to me was nothing happened to them. Nothing. They were alive. I mean, they had like a little bit of resistance, but for the most part, as you saw in some of the videos, if you've been watching the news, some of the Capitol Police opening up the gates so they could come through. Not one weapon was drawn, not a baton, not a rubber bullet,
not even a mace.
Not mace. What, Mike, and you bringing that up? Those folk maced the police.
Yeah,
they maced the police, and the police ran. When is the last time, as a black man, black woman, or black child, have you ever, when they're in the presence of black people, have you ever seen the police run?
They ain't gonna let you get close enough.
Never. When have you ever seen them run?
Never.
They plant both their feet in the ground, pull out whichever weapon they decide to choose, whether it's taser, a mace, gun. They put both feet in the ground, toes clenched into the earth, and they using whatever weapon that they have against our brown bodies and our black bodies without hesitation. Now, yesterday I saw fear from police. I've never seen fear from police when it's dealing with black folk. I saw police run like cowards.
Yeah.
Hold on, this is your job.
This is what you signed up for. This is what you were trained.
This is what you were trained to deal with.
Right.
You were trained to deal with situations just like this, and you ran like cowards. And what's so funny, they showed one scene where the white folk just busted through the door. This one lone black man, and he's running up steps from these people. Do you actually think that black man would have ran from his own?
Well, with that right there, Pete, I seen the clip on that. That was what you call a security guard. He didn't have a weapon on him.
Oh, did he not have a weapon on him?
Okay, no, sir. And that's why. Yeah, because when
he
he backed up a few yards, then you saw him reach down and pick up a stick or something that he found on the ground. He's one of those security guards that did not have a weapon on him.
Okay, well, I stand corrected, brother. I do apologize on this podcast to you brother, whatever your name is. But for the rest of them jokers,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but for the rest of them,
the cowardly lions.
I have never seen police run in such a way.
Well, not only did they run, some of them were taking selfies.
Yeah.
With the thugs.
Yeah, because they weren't protesters.
No.
Those were not protesters. Those were thugs and domestic terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And people that may not agree with the language that I use, go look up the definition of domestic terrorism. They were doing this for political reason and under the name of Trump.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind the two worlds that we live in as a people. It's white folk, and then it's everybody else lumped into together. But we're going to talk about it from the black perspective and how, if this was anything dealing with black folk, whether it was a Black Lives Matter march, a Million Man march, or anything, they would have had the National Guard out there. They would have had the Capitol Police in full riot gear,
and the DC police,
in full riot gear, ready.
Okay.
If something would have popped off, we ready.
Like
they had two barriers around the Capitol.
Two.
It's thousands of Trump supporters out there. You had two barriers. Now, I hear people saying that they were caught off guard. No, the Capitol Police was not caught off guard because because Bowers, the mayor of DC, asked for help, for National Guard help, previous to
not only that, she put information out on social media that she had closed down certain things for several days to ensure less traffic,
right? Because
of this. So my thing is, it's really funny how when the Black Lives Matter, and let's not confuse the Black Lives Matter organization with the undercover rioters who tried to blend themselves in with Black Lives Matter to cause such catastrophes this past summer and spring. Okay? Because we did find out, and it is documented, that a lot of people went undercover trying to portray themselves as Black Lives Matters, only to destroy property under their name, but they weren't really a part of us. Some of those were undercover policemen. Yeah, it's documented. So, but let me go back. So my thing is, it's funny how when there's a whiff of an organization of a peaceful protest from the Black Lives Matter, they're like what Pete said. You got the National Guard, you got the Capitol Police, you got the DC Police standing on the Capitol front steps, just wishing, in the famous words of, was it Cedric? I wish you would. Somebody would. And that's the attitude they have as they stand up there on the Capitol steps. But you trying to tell me that you didn't get one whiff of evidence of information that these cats were coming. When the president stood up there earlier that day and said, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and cheer on our senators and the vice president. And he said that, well, I can't remember word for word, but basically he was saying that we have to take our country. We have to do it by force. We cannot be weak. Folks, that's dog whistling. If you ain't never heard it in your life, that's a prime example of dog whistling. And that's what he did. They knew what he wanted. He was smart enough to know not to come out and say it. But he did say it.
But what yesterday reinforced is that, first of all, the police are not going to do anything to anybody white. Period, point blank.
It's their counterparts.
And white people ain't scared of the police. But we've already seen that before. You know, if they get pulled over by a cop and they jump out the car, they cuss the cop out, put their hands on the cop, and nothing happened. You see what I'm saying? So this was for all those people who didn't believe. It was on full showcase yesterday.
Yep.
So you can't come back to black folk and say, you know, you should have listened to what the police said. You wouldn't have got shot. You see what I'm saying? Or you wouldn't have got tased, or you wouldn't have got billy clubbed. We had a multitude of white folk run up in the Capitol and nothing was done. Nothing, not a shot. Nobody got beat. Hold on. Did y'all see the video when the police opened the door and let them just walk out of the building? Held the door open. And just, now those the same folk that just ran up in the Capitol.
Hold on.
And
Did you see the video where the policeman was holding the lady's hand or arm as she walked down the steps?
Helped her walk down the steps.
Helped her walk down the steps. Now, let me say this. I do my best to be fair and partial as best I can. So I listened to the other side. But what really hurt me was when they said that the riots and the bad displays of the riots that took place in the spring and summer after the George Floyd death in various cities was just the same as the issue we had at the Capitol. And that is not true, because these riots that took place, like I said, a lot of the stuff that was going on, tearing up the building and stuff, were not a part of the BLM movement. And later, months later, that was documented and proven on TV and various news segments. Okay? These protests always started out peaceful. Then you had a handful of people that instigated it by throwing something at the cops or throwing something at one of the buildings to start the whole thing in motion. The people that did that were not a part of the Black Lives Matter movement.
And then a lot of the times in those situations, the police were the instigators. Yes. The police was running with a lot of people. Michael Harriot is somebody that I follow. He's a writer for The Root, and he documented over the summer and during the spring that, you know, it was peaceful at the protests that he was at. They were extremely peaceful until the police showed up, and then the police became the aggressor, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
But back to this situation, it just shows us that police officers, they really can show restraint when they really want to. These police officers can really, you know, when it's dealing with people that look like them, they go out of their way to be accommodating.
You know what? It appears that they can show restraint when they want to.
Yeah.
They just don't want to show restraint towards us. And I'm not going to say all, but a lot. They just don't want to show restraint towards us. and that's really the bottom line, the gist of the whole matter.
And I listened this morning of the DC mayor and DC police chief and some other elected officials in Washington. And for them to just say, we arrested 68 people. What? You arrested how many? And said it with pride, like, you know, like we did something. Like we did something. Hold on, so all of that foolishness that happened at the Capitol, them folk running up in the Capitol. Well, we saw that we already figured that nobody was going to get arrested when the police were opening the door and just letting them gracefully walk out of the building, like they had just like they just come over for dinner or something. You know what I'm saying? But to basically, you know, boast your chest out and put air in your chest because you arrested 68 people. That means absolutely nothing. You did your bare minimum. And yeah.
Go ahead. You go ahead. I don't want you to lose.
Yeah. And one more video that they showed all of these Trump people that were there and some of the folk that ran up through them buildings at a hotel maybe 2 blocks away from the Capitol building. I ain't see no feds run up in there. I ain't see the CIA. I ain't see the DC police. I ain't see no Capitol police. Nothing. They sitting there drinking coffee. de-escalating from the situation, talking amongst themselves how good and how great it was for them to run up in the Capitol building. And there's no police nowhere to be found.
Okay, now Pete,
Wow.
I know you're gonna disagree with me on this, brother, and that's fine. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I would ask your patience as far as the arrests are concerned, because the FBI is doing that facial recognition, and more arrests will be coming along.
Hold on, Chad. Let me pause you right there, brother.
Yes, sir.
Arrest them in the moment.
You can't if ain't nobody there. Look how long it took backup to get there.
They were there.
It took them 3 hours for the cops to get there. The cops are in D.C. Why it take you 3 hours to get to the Capitol?
Because then nobody called them to 3 hours later.
No.
So nobody has media. Nobody has a TV.
Chad, hold on. They was milling around after the fact. Hours after the fact. Then Mayor Bowser put in a 6 o'clock curfew. I was watching the news last night. They was walking around. It was 8 o'clock. They was walking around chilling.
Now,
when
when the curfew was put on the protesters last spring and summer,
boy,
the military, the police marched down them streets, and anybody that was in them streets got dealt with.
Dealt with quick. But they were just milling around with their little flag, chilling. It's 9:30. They still chilling.
Out.
It's still out, just chilling like ain't nothing. And the police just standing there looking at them. They running up on the police, spitting at them and talking, cussing them out. This, that, and the third. But they just sitting there, police just sitting there chilling. So don't tell me that the police can't have restraint or the police can't control a situation without murdering people or without beating people to within an inch of their life. Don't tell me that they can't do it, because you just showed us that you can.
Now let's back up for a minute, because I think you had a point, and I think I jumped in, and I apologize. But when I was telling you that I would watch the news from the other side to see what they were saying, and they were comparing the two, the Black Lives Matter protests from the spring and summer compared to the Capitol, what happened to the Capitol. You were on the verge of saying something. I think I cut you off.
No, I know. I was just saying that it's funny how when it's white folk, how we can make, well, not we, that they can make excuses and twist themselves in knots to justify something that they done. But what we saw 24 hours ago was a disgrace. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was shameful. And it was shameful. And like I said, those folk were emboldened to do what they did. But guess what? What I'm even more upset about was that there was no one there to stop them, or was no one there that wanted to stop them.
You know what's worse, Pete?
Because trust and believe, if they look like us, first of all, we wouldn't have never made it to the steps.
Right.
Second of all, it would have been blood running in the streets from billy clubs and gunshot wounds.
Yes,
and
sir.
People laid out.
It would have been so many dead black folk on that ground. And guess what? The media would have been like, it was justified.
Yeah.
Because those black folks shouldn't have been trying to run up in the Capitol.
I don't understand. And here's the thing, piggybacking off of what you said, Pete, whenever we get shot, they want to fear their lives. But when you're running from a mob of people, you're not in fear. So why not shoot them?
Yeah, exactly. Where were these police officers who, you like you said, Mike, when they go to court after they done killed somebody black, they say, well, their excuse is, well, I feared for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just showed us yesterday that when you fear for your life from white people,
you run.
You run. You run.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad this happened, because now, I mean, the police still gonna kill black people with no disregard. Please believe it. They still gonna kill black people. But now we have something to go to and say, Roll the tape.
We have
Yeah,
receipts.
Yeah, we have footage now. So roll the tape because guess what? Now you're in court saying that you fear for your life, but right in this instance right here, it may have not been you, but your fellow officers were fearing for their lives when it was white folk and you ran. But you stood 10 toes in the ground and killed that black man, woman, and child, though. You see what I'm saying? Man.
But you know what, Pete? This is another thing that gets me. This all took place because it wasn't that they were fighting for principle or for policy or even for the Constitution. All of this madness took place because of one man.
You fighting over a man.
They fighting over a man and what he said. He said he did not lose the election and there was fraud. In every state that his legal team tried to put a case in towards, the legal system threw it out before they even tried it because they said you cannot try a case with no substantial facts. You have no evidence. You cannot try a case with this is what we think, this is what we believe. There's no court in the land that will do a case like that. He got thrown out in 7 states that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could not produce evidence.
Over 60 denials.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the court system in these states. Over 60 denials.
And then his road dog, Moscow Mitch, sat up there and admitted he lost by a landslide. It wasn't even close.
Who, bruh?
Did I strike a nerve right there?
It's so much stuff with these people, these Trump supporters. You can't jump off the bandwagon now.
You talking about the resignations that are going on now?
Resignations, yeah. Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell.
Oh, he shucked and jived yesterday. Oh, Lindsey shucked and jived. He put on a show.
Bruh, you can't jump off that train now. You staying, dog.
Yeah, it's
too late. Hold on, now you gonna put in your resignation 2 weeks before he loses his job? You just put in a 2-week notice. That's all you did.
Yeah.
That's all you did. You might as well ride it out now.
Yeah, you already at the end.
You already at the end. You might as well go ride that out. Yeah. Ride that thing on out. Be true to who you are. Be true to who you are these last 4 years.
Like you say, Pete, stand on. What'd you say? Stand on. What you always say? Stand on it.
Yeah, just stand on it.
Just stand on it. That's what you say and believe. Stand on it.
Stand on it.
Be a man.
Be a man. Stand on it. You've been standing on it for 4 years.
And for people that say, you know, when Black Lives Matter were talking and speaking about white privilege and everybody said that doesn't exist. Well, if you don't believe after the last 24 hours it exists, then you was under a rock. Because that was white privilege at its finest.
And my thing is, I'm to the point where I'm not even trying to change people's minds right now. My thing is, if you can just listen and take this in, this is another perspective of which you have never lived in.
Right.
In which shoes you've never walked in.
Right.
Because you live in a bubble, your own world. And like I was telling y'all before we started recording the podcast, you know, if people would really come out of their bubble, and I think a lot of people did when they saw the live murder of George Floyd. I think a lot of people did come out of their bubble like, wow, this does happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, for us, it's like, it's nothing new. Yeah, it's just now we're recording it.
Yeah, that's every day for us. Yeah,
it's every day. But when you tell people who've never lived it or seen it, oh, it can't be that bad. They're exaggerating. You witnessed this in your own living room. This man with his knee on this other man's neck, slowly killing him. Now all of a sudden your eyes are open.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, not all, but a lot of people that don't look like us. And I really hate that had to happen for people to wake up. I really do. Because we don't know what George could have been, how he could have influenced this country or this world. We'll never know now. But because his life was taken, a lot of eyes and hearts and minds were opened of people that don't look like us, which is awesome. And this is the same story we have been telling people for generations that's been going on. And now it's finally been televised. So now, Mr. Hunt, Mr. Brown, we as a people, we've been open for a long time. Now we have other people whose eyes and hearts are open. How do we move forward? You know what? Before I go into how we move forward, I'm glad y'all told me to write this down. Where are the evangelists that supported Trump during his time? Where are the evangelists? These holy, God Spirit filled,
Everybody got
Holy Ghost led,
fire baptized,
evangelists. Where are they right now?
They running for their life. I'm running for my life. Okay, all right. I ain't gonna do that. But bruh, the hilarity of and I've discussed this and we've discussed this on previous podcasts about these religious leaders, especially these little televangelists and all of these folk that be on TV and even some of your local ministers that don't look like us that support this cat.
Be careful, people. Be careful now.
No, I'm not. No. I can't.
No, like how they say in the church, step on in there. Step on in there.
I can't because my thing is this. And first of all, why were you?
Let him use you.
Why was you supporting this guy who, first of all, who pretty much admitted on tape that he was a sexual assaulter?
Yes, sir. He did.
You grab him by the
hoot nanny.
Hoot nanny. As the old folks, you say the coot cat.
Or as the real old folks say, the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Grab him by the pocketbook. And then this dude, first of all, that has been married multiple times, and babies out of wedlock, and babies out of cheating, and all this other stuff, but you support him, and you put it on abortion. That's your only thing. He's for abortion. And guess what? Donald Trump in 4 years ain't said nothing about no abortion or abortion rights. I heard him utter anything about abortion in 4 years.
What get me is about the immigrant situation. Where his wife from?
His wife is an immigrant.
Ain't she from Utah?
And she here illegally.
She's on a visa.
Exactly. And got the visa illegally.
Yeah.
But these faux preachers, these fake preachers, that's where they on the way to heaven anyhow, because we all know folk that believe the gospel and real with it. My mom and daddy, Mike, your mom, Chad, your mom and dad. I know that they real and they real in what they believe in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to see these preachers, these Paula Whites and these what's my man name down there in Texas? Joel Osteen.
Step on in there.
What's the old Kenneth Copeland, Franklin Grahams, and all of these folk that support this cat, but on the other side they saying they on their way to heaven. No, that ain't how it works.
Right.
That ain't how it works.
Blasphemy.
Blasphemy. Let me and I'm gonna show you a quick story with Franklin Graham.
Well,
now his daddy was Billy, right?
Billy.
Yes, sir.
People love Billy Graham, right?
Love Billy.
Wow. Love Billy. Here in North Carolina, we got roads and buildings and statues and all of that about Billy.
You got to go down the Parkway to get to the airport. Billy Graham.
You got to go down to Billy Graham to get to the airport. Now,
fly to heaven, Jesus. Fly to heaven.
Billy Graham and Dr. King was cool.
Yes, sir.
Billy Graham was like, Dr. King, I'm behind you 100%. Y'all march till the soles of y'all shoes get holes.
Not y'all. Okay.
Y'all march and tear your socks up. We shall overcome. I'm with that. And then Dr. King flipped that thing and said, I want rights for black people.
What? Hold
Billy Graham was like, hold on, brother.
Pump your brakes.
Hold on, Martin. Pump your brakes now. What you mean? Now I'm cool with all them that walking
Mm-hmm.
and that singing and that marching. I'm cool with, but you want some you want some real tangible stuff now.
Yeah, you want equality.
You want equality. Hold on, Dr. King. You do. That's who you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the same people, and they run in the same circles.
Mm-hmm.
That again, it's about. We've talked about this before. It's about white power and that money. As long as white folks stay in power, white men stay in power, we cool. But as soon as that's shaking a little bit, okay, we got some problems now. Hold on now. Or you mess with my money. You mess with my church money. Hold on now. Then we got a problem.
Well, it's like somebody told me. Most white folks understand three things. Let me see if I can get this right. Money, power, and blood. You affect any one of those three, you got their attention.
Mm-hmm.
You mess with their power, okay, now we can sit down at the table. We need to talk. We need to figure this out. You mess with their money, we need to sit down and talk. Or you spill some of their blood, we need to talk. We need to sit down and talk. Other than that, they're not really hearing you.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, at first I didn't agree with it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't agree with it. But I had to marinate on that for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the pattern throughout U.S. history, wars and coup attempts, anything of the sort, assassinations, extortion, you track all that back, it's going to lead to one of those three things. Somebody done mess with one of them's money, they power, or they done spill some blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and back to the evangelist that we are hearing crickets from now. Again, it was their people that looked like them that was doing it. So of course they're not going to come out and denounce their own.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to denounce their own, because if this was any group, whether it's Black Lives Matter or Indian group or Asian group or any of the sort, you best
be a Muslim.
A Muslim group, they would be on TV, on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Peacock, right now, talking. All of them. But now it's their own that's out here cutting the fool. Now, shh.
Everybody hush mouth.
And see, one of the biggest things about this particular podcast that I wanted to relate to people that don't look like us is we're saying all of this because the bottom line is we want equality. The same way you judge the rioters in the spring and the summer, and judge them and call them all kind of names, do the same for what happened on January 6th.
Call the black folks animals.
Call them animals and thugs and terrorists. But now, when January 6th happened at the Capitol, you don't hear the same language. Language is powerful.
Yep.
And people know that. Let me put this marker down. Language is powerful, and people know that. That's why you really have to be careful what people are saying and how they're saying it.
And that's why so many people were coming out on social media yesterday talking about, stop calling these people protesters.
Yeah.
They are not, once they breach the Capitol, they are no longer protesters.
They are domestic terrorists.
They are domestic terrorists. They thugs. They whatever moniker you want to put on them. They're not protesters any longer.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because as black folk, we don't get that luxury.
We don't.
We don't look because guess what? Our skin color already makes us a threat.
Mm-hmm.
In some people's eyes, just our skin color makes us a threat. So we're already categorized as being thugs and animals and this, that, and the third.
And it's nothing that our skin color can do. It's simply because it's different than somebody else's. That's why it's a threat.
And what and
Sad.
what and let me just jump on that real quick. And what's so funny, we thugs and we threaten you and we're threats to you, this, that, and the third, but you would have nothing without us.
Nothing.
Everything that you have, you stole from us. All of those buildings that them folk ran through yesterday was built on our back and our blood.
It's funny because
because you have no culture. You have no culture. Okay, let's be real honest and be real.
I thought we was.
Everybody, I mean, but I'm here to get like really real.
Yeah,
really real. And if somebody listening to this is offended by it, I'm not apologizing. It is what it is. But they have no culture. Every other ethnic group has a culture. We have African culture. The Asian population, all of their countries have a culture, whether it's China, Japan, wherever. They have a culture. Indians have a culture, whether it's the Indians that were here or Indians in India. They have a culture.
Wow.
White people, they don't have a culture. They have stolen and pillaged and robbed and raped and every other culture on the planet to get whatever they have. To get whatever they have.
Hey, Pete,
Ooh.
when you ask the average American what type of food they like, you'll never hear any American say, "Oh, I like white food." You'll hear Greek, you'll hear Italian, you hear Ethiopian,
So, Jamaican,
Italian, Jamaican,
Bacon?
but you'll never hear, "I like white food." And
Wow,
it's
Chad.
funny how.
Hold on, Chad. Hold on. Marinate on what you just said.
I like white food with no flavor.
And raisins in my potato salad.
Mm.
But I mean, honestly, listen to what you just said. Go ahead, Chad.
That's gonna be hard for them to deal with, Pete. That's gonna be hard for them to deal with. But it's real.
It's real. It's real. If you look at nationalities or whatever, if you look at black, white, whatever, we were never created from never, back in the day, people, not until white folk labeled people as white, black, Asian, this, that.
Before that, it was about where you were from.
Where
it
you
wasn't
were
about
from.
the skin, your color of your skin. It was what geography were you a part of?
In Africa, what tribe were you from?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And in other places, what province are you from? Or what's your family name?
Yeah.
You know, we've discussed about family last names quite a bit on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you went by.
Who
your people?
Yes, sir.
What province you from? What tribe you from?
And I can't remember the white man, but I think it was in the late 16 or 1500s when he devised this white, brown, yellow, because he had to be.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure that his people were superior for whatever reason. I don't know what we did to these folks. I don't know what we did to them. But it's so funny because for me, it's like as long as you stay in your place, you cool. We love to watch you run up and down the field, throw that ball. We love to watch you go up and down the court and shoot the ball. We love to watch you hit the ball with the golf clubs or with the tennis racket. We love to hear your music. We love how you can dance and sing. We love how you rap. And I know that's a fact because they tried to lie and say they didn't. And then they repackaged it. Now Disney's rapping. Now you got rap in all the commercials. Now you got rap. Everybody rapping now. Everybody's rapping now.
Yeah.
The B-boy style, which we have in America, have let die, is thriving over there overseas in Japan and China. You go over there and try to break dance with some of them, you're going to get your feelings hurt because they live and breathe it. So everything that we have birthed from our food, used to complain about our food, but I live in Atlanta, well, outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I live in the suburbs in Fayetteville, right? You go to any soul food restaurant, I guarantee you'll see some people that don't look like us. They love our food. They love it. They can't get enough of it.
That's what happens again, Chad. That's what happens when you have no culture. When you have no culture, when you have nothing,
somebody
you
else.
you have to, like I said, rob, steal, pillage, rape, do whatever you have to do to garner something, to garner some sense of pride or whatever. But again, it's just as a people, what we have to do. And you were going to ask that question earlier.
Yeah,
Chad,
yeah. How do we as a people?
as
How
a
do we?
people,
How do we move forward, Pete? How do we go from right now to move forward and really make this situation help us or elevate us?
first of all, as a people, we have to bring ourselves together with our might and with our dollar.
Greenwood.
We have to bring ourselves together as a people first. Concentrate our monies. Open up our own banks. Open up our own, which we have small businesses. Mike, you have one. Chad, you have one. Consolidate our monies. Like I said, open our own banks. Chad, you have some down there in Atlanta. That especially my man Killer Mike, which
Greenwood.
I applaud that.
Yes, sir.
Like I applaud that brother for that. A lot of things I don't agree with Killer Mike with, or several things, but that part, that's what we have to do.
But see, right there, Pete, what you just said, that's the crucial part for us coming together and really building a strong economy and community is, and that's one thing we don't do well that other people do, like the Chinese, the Japanese, white folks, Italians. We need to learn to put aside smaller differences and come together for the greater good of our people.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's like, what is best for our community, for our schools, for our children? What's best? I know you don't like some of the things I do and say. I don't like some of the things you do and say. Let's put that aside. And let's focus on
the
everybody.
Culture. Yes,
because
sir.
It makes no sense for if you have 1,000 black people, it makes no sense for 100 of them to be wealthy and flourishing and thriving while the rest of them are struggling and barely getting by. When you can take that top 10 or 100 and say, okay, this is what we're going to do for our people. We're going to open or create more resources, whether it be education, whether it be finances, whether it be jobs or whatever, so we can get more of our people thriving. Because it's so much better as a people when we're all eating as opposed to 5 of us eating and 90 of us scrapping and fighting each other trying to get a meal. You understand what I'm saying? That's the mindset that we have to get to. We got to put aside me, mine, and mines and look at us.
Yes, as a culture, and that's number one. That's number one, because we have shown in these past elections our power. Look at the elections that happened, the presidential elections. Look, just Georgia alone, where you at, Chad? Not only did black folk flip Georgia blue, yesterday they just put in their first black senator, and a Jewish senator.
Yes, sir.
And at one point, ruby red Georgia.
Yes, sir.
That black folk did that.
That's right. We Carolina blue now.
Atlanta
and we got the mayor of Atlanta is black. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms.
That's what I'm saying. When black folk we showed what our power is. Our dollar is power. When we decide that, you look at Oprah, and this was before Oprah was really Oprah. When she told what was it about the beef? Something about beef. I can't remember. Something about the mad cow disease or whatever was going on with beef. Many years ago. And she said, well, I'm going to stop eating meat. The beef plummeted.
Because them white women follow Oprah. And they're like, if she don't eat it, we ain't eating it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was Oprah. That was Oprah before $1 billion Oprah.
Right.
That one black voice.
But see, Pete, the thing is,
almost flipped the whole beef community on his head.
Mm-hmm.
That's black power.
But see, the problem
Abrams,
is everybody else sees, knows, and recognizes the power that we have as far as influence and as far as money.
Us.
Everybody else see it, but us.
you're right, Mike. And that's where we have to get to a level as a people. We have to get to the point where we recognize our greatness.
You know, let me stop you right there, Pete. Let me stop you right there. I gotta make this PSA announcement to all the people that do not look like us. Just because you see black people, let me look at you. Just because you see black people on their timelines or the gear that they wear or how they speak when they're saying something pro-black or saying that they're pro-black, that does not, I repeat and I underscore in bold letters, that does not mean that we're anti-white. That just means that we're proud of who we are, and we need to feel that because for years and years, a lot of you that don't look like us have made us feel that we're not significant, that we're not important. Whether you said it directly, whether it was slavery, whether it's the commercials that you politely show with your symbols and your images. Symbolism and images matter. We matter. And it's about self-confidence, which we as a people have lost for so many years. But we didn't lose it on our own. We had some help. I'm going to leave it at that. But pro-black does not mean anti-white. We just want to be proud of who we are and what we've accomplished, just like you. Only difference is who we are, who we really are, and what we've accomplished is not mainstream. Your accomplishments are mainstream. It's known everywhere. If you don't know it, you've been living under a rock. We want the same. It all goes back to equality. That is all we want. Equality, led across the line, equal across the line. That's all we want. We're not trying to be superior. We've never asked to be superior. We're saying we want our equal share of the pie and access as well as you do. That's all it is. But I understand why a lot of you are scared of that. I understand. Because if you give us an equal playing ground, we will wipe the floor. We will wipe the floor.
Basically.
And that's not saying that to be braggadocious. It's true.
No, say it braggadociously because it's true.
I mean, because I don't even know if that's the right point to make. But
let me stop you right there, brother.
People that pay, that have done it in the past and have not been caught, paying for their kids to get into school knowing good and well they didn't earn that spot. That could have been a spot for a black or brown, Latino, or a person of color who did earn that spot. But y'all just took it because money talk. Pro-black does not mean anti-white. Please understand when I say that. Go ahead, Pete. I just had to put that out.
Brother, and I appreciate your kind words and everything that you just said. I appreciate that great. But let me stick a pin in that real quick. It's not our job to tell people that don't look like us what black power mean or us being prideful in ourselves. If you're offended by it, that's on you. I could care less what you think about how I feel about my people. I don't have to explain anything about, being pro-black is not anti-white. I don't have to explain that. I don't need to explain that because I'm pro-black, doggone it, whether you like it or not. I'm about my people. I'm not going to explain to you why I'm pro-black. I don't need to. And if you don't understand it, oh well, because I've lived 48 years of my life with you telling me how great you are.
True. That's facts.
Facts. So if I say I'm pro-black and you don't vibe with it, guess what?
You be all right.
Exactly. You be all right. That's what you've told us for 400 plus years. You be all right. You'll be all right. And guess what? My pro-blackness, you'll be all right. And if you feel that it's anti-white, that's just how you feel. Because that's not going to change me as a black man.
Agree.
And how I feel about my people.
I agree.
Because at the end of the day, all I got is my people. Because you're not going to have, you've clearly shown that you're not going to have my back. You're not going to have my people's back. You brought us over here in chains and in bondage. And you're still acting in those terms. A lot of those folk that don't look like us. So, Chad, I appreciate it, brother, and I'm glad you put that PSA out. But it won't need it. It won't need it because you shouldn't have to explain to anybody why you love you.
Well, no, I don't explain it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I see
if
what
you
you're
hear
saying.
me say it, or any of us say it, or even if you see it in the clothes that we wear, that does not mean we're completely against y'all. We loving on us because it's time.
Mm-hmm.
It's time.
Exactly. And another thing as a people that we have to do to move forward, and a list of things that we should do. Stop making excuses for us as a people, our blackness. Stop making excuses. We are who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are the greatest thing that graced this earth. Sorry, people. We was first.
That's right.
In this thing called life. Not only if you believe in the Bible or you're a religious person, the words say it. Scientists have said it.
They have.
We are first. We were first. We are God's eyes as a people. God sees everything through us. Why do you think it's a liquor store on every black corner? It's designed that way.
Pete.
Because God can't see clearly if his eyes are unfocused.
Let him use you. Let him use you.
Why do you think it's crap in the black community?
Ooh, why you think 2020 was so messed up?
Why do you think it's messing up God's vision? Because God sees the world through us, through black people. He wouldn't have made us first if he didn't.
Wow. Again,
I've made this comparison before. People say Adam and Eve was white. First of all, look, if you read biblically, where was the Garden of Eden?
Northern Africa.
Africa.
Where black folk come from?
Africa.
Okay, let me give you another quiz, gentlemen.
Pastor. We going to church now.
Let me move my word right here. Okay. Have you seen any white ground? What white ground have you ever seen? I'm going somewhere. It's a yes or no question, gentlemen. Have you ever seen white ground?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Okay. The words say God spat upon the ground and made man. What dirt look like?
Spat.
It looks brown to me.
You got brown dirt. You got black dirt.
Yes, sir.
God spat upon the ground from what the words say and formed man in his own image, right?
Well,
as a people, we have to realize who we are, regardless of whatever comes before us. We have to realize our greatness. You said that earlier, Chad. We have to realize how great we are as a people and how powerful we are. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's not in the White House without us.
That's true. And Joe made that clear.
Reverend Warnock and Ossoff are not the two Georgia senators without us.
That's right.
Because without Fulton County, Atlanta suburbs, Atlanta, Savannah, it's not even close. We have to recognize our power as a people. We need to pool our resources as a people and create our own. Schools, banks, businesses,
jobs.
That jobs, hospitals that creates jobs for our people. Just like down there in Atlanta, Chad, where the group of black people bought the 400 acres of land down there in Georgia. That's things that we have to do as a people.
Oh, yeah, you talking about those families?
Yeah,
the 9 families.
Exactly. Bought 400 acres of land.
Sure did.
And already they're already going to say, they've already said they're going to make a black city.
Yeah.
Black, that's based on everything is going to be black. That's the things that we have to do. And last and not least, and Chad, we talked about it off air. What we have to do is hold these leaders that we put in place accountable.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
We have to hold their feet to the fire, because you're not in your place without us.
That's right. So
you don't have the presidency without us.
Mm-hmm.
You're not.
So you need to make sure that we good.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That we good.
But I want to touch on something real quick, Pete, when you talked about that city, because I know a lot of times you hear people that don't look like us saying, well, why does everything have to be black? Why can't it just be people? I said, because when we try to assimilate with you, whether it's on a job, whether it's an organization, you shun us. Why do you think we have HBCUs? Because you would not allow us to go to your colleges.
Exactly.
We had to create our own. Now, granted, a lot of these HBCUs are named after white men.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are white men that wanted to do something to help the black race. That's cool. Bottom line is, we had to go get our own, because you would not allow us to go to school with you. You would not allow us to eat with you. And a lot of times, to this very day. So why are you offended now that we're saying, okay, now it's time for us to do for self?
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way we're going to truly come back to the table of the masses is when we have our stuff together in every aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can really come to the table and bargain and be like, okay, what are we trying to do here? We can't do that right now. Nobody takes us serious because we're not in unity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They just continue to put out the Air Force Ones or the new J's or, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that we just give them all the name stuff and, that'll pacify them. We got to get beyond all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get beyond all of that and really sit down and focus on, our youth and get them focused. It's not about the J's and all this other. It's okay to look nice, but be smart about how you spend your money. I guarantee you, the rich, wealthy folks ain't paying top dollar for their stuff like you are. These kids, and you know what? I'm going to stop because I don't want to get off on a tangent. But what we need to do as a people is refocus.
Mm-hmm.
We need to refocus.
Yeah. This is prime time for us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
This is prime time for us to do the thing that we need to do. And like I said, if we already seen how great we are as a people, because nothing in this world goes without us. I don't care what country you go to.
We influence everybody.
Our people have what we've done affects everybody around this world. Just our culture alone, just being black folk. I mean, that's not even including inventions and things of that sort. It's just who we are as a people, and it makes this world go round.
Mm-hmm.
And as a people, we are prime. This should be a prime and ready time for us to take that next step, and our power as a people. And like I said, and you said it correctly, Chad, earlier. If we get past the little petty stuff, which is something that's ingrained in us as a people from slavery.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We had some help getting that way.
The trust, dark skin, light skin, slave, house, all of that. It's ingrained in us not to really kind of trust each other. That's how it was built. That's how the system was built.
Mm-hmm.
So once we get past that and realize as a collective how powerful we are, and as a collective we set the standard of how the world goes. We set the standard. And remember that whatever your high being is, whether it's God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, whoever, they look through the world through the eyes of the black man, woman, and child. That I'm just saying. Once we get those things in our brains and in our minds as a people, man, we unstoppable. We unstoppable. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on, how we have to push forward as a people. We have to come together. We have to pool our resources. Because can you imagine if the Oprahs and the Jay-Z's and whoever else you want to name, Byron Allen and Tyler Perry and people of that ilk, and even our smaller millionaires that we don't have a clue that are millionaires, black folk. If we all come to eat and us as regular black folk who don't have that, if we come together and pool our monies and build our schools and build our businesses and build our banks, man, and like you said, Chad, there's nothing they can deny us. As a government, they can't deny us.
They would have to respect us then.
Yeah. You have to respect us.
You have to.
Because we've talked on earlier podcasts how things get done in Washington. Whatever group needs something done, guess what? They go up there with a plan and a briefcase full of money.
That's it.
And it's passed.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe they call them lobbyists.
Yeah, there you go. And things are done. So I mean, that's my feelings on how we push forward as a people, man.
Mike, any final thoughts with you, man, before we wrap this up?
I just agree with what everybody's saying. I feel the same way.
Yeah. So for all you who are watching and listening, take this in, marinate on it, and let's not put all the onus on the president and the vice president and the Senate and the House. It starts locally. Your local leaders, your DAs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Your judges, all of that stuff, your sheriffs, your mayors.
Yep.
It starts there.
Yeah, and I hope this what has transpired in this last election and in this last runoff in Georgia, as a people, we realize how much power we have and how we can influence who's in office. I hope this is not one of those situations where we get super high, and in 2022 we let some joker in there that ain't supposed to be in there. You know what I'm saying? Because we're coming down from a high. You know what I'm saying?
I think we fell asleep for the last time. When Obama's in office, we fell asleep big time because we expected. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's going to happen this time because we learned a lesson in those 8 years plus these 4 with this person in office. So we've had a long time to learn a lot.
Right.
But before I wrap this up, I do want to give a shout out to my man on here, Mike Brown, for his birthday.
Happy born day. Happy born day, brother.
Yes, sir. Today is his day. Many blessings to you, my brother. Again, congratulations on your grandbaby. And we wish you nothing, man, but health, peace, and love.
What about wealth? I want some wealth.
I ain't got to do with that. So anybody...
I talked to the man in the upper room. The upper room.
Hey, Mike, you're not qualified.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna tell you like this though. You're not qualified to be my president.
Uh-oh.
If you ain't never saw your mama cooking some fried chicken in that black cast iron skillet, and she put you a piece on some light bread and sent you outside.
Get out my kitchen.
Get out my kitchen.
That's what that meant. Get out my kitchen, boy.
Look, that chicken leg be so hot.
Them burnt lips, gums, everything.
Top of your mouth.
Top of your roof of your mouth, all of that.
Take that bite, you see all the smoke coming up.
You better...
But you ain't spitting it out though.
No, sir.
Oh, it's go cool.
Hold on.
And even when it's done, you eat the bread that's stuck to the bone.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up, I'm gonna leave you with a Bible verse.
Jesus.
From this week, we are coming from 2 Chronicles, chapter 7, verses 14 and 15, and it reads: Then if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and restore the land. My eyes will be open and my ears attentive to every prayer made in this place. May this word add a blessing to your life and to your heart. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to Our Voice 360, our perspective, our ways. Be safe, be blessed. We're out.
Peace. Peace. One love.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when a new show drops. Please rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. Also, if you'd like to advertise or become a sponsor, please send an email to ourvoice360@gmail.com with your inquiry. We'll connect with you as soon as possible in hopes of creating a great partnership. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. See you next week.